Good. Then we can continue in English. Anyone here for the first time? No newcomers. So we have now a lecture, and we have a very special guest with us, His Grace Jayagurudeva Prabhu. Let us welcome him. Haribo! Please, Jayagurudeva Prabhu, if you like to take a seat. Jayagurudeva Prabhu is an initiated disciple by Srila Prabhupada. He has been initiated by Srila Prabhupada himself, and he has been serving in the Swiss community of devotees for many, many years. He's originally from Czech Republic, and that's where he lives at the moment. And he actually came to celebrate with us yesterday's 40th installation day of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. I think some of you were not here yesterday. I see some, yeah. No worries. Jayagurudeva Prabhu will speak a little bit about Jagannath, the significance of this form of Krishna. He will enlighten us. Thank you, Jayagurudeva Prabhu, for coming. Hare Krishna. You like this, or? Yeah.
Bring it down?
Is it okay?
Sure. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Giribaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. In 1985, one of my godbrothers and the spiritual master of Damodar Prasad Prabhu, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and Tamal Krishna Goswami have written a book which is called Jagannath Priyanatakam. It's a play. It's a very nice play. And the premiere was in Mayapur. I had the great fortune to be in the attendance. Jagannath Priyanatakam is the story of the appearance of the transcendental form of Lord Jagannath, as you see on our altar. The story starts with the king, whose name was Indradumna. Indradumna was a very powerful king, but Indradumna wasn't satisfied with his worldly possessions. He had everything. He was a king. And he had an assembly. The plot of the play is very nice. He had an assembly of all the Brahmins of his kingdom. And he had one question. He said, "Where shall I find that personality whom I can adore without any exceptions?" Thank you very much. And suddenly from the back, this is the play, from the back of the assembly came a voice. "I know that personality. I know where he is." And Indradumna asked, "Who is that speaking in the assembly?" And in the back of the assembly, there was a Brahmin who stood up and he said, "My name is Vidyapati. My name is Vidyapati, and I know that person who you're looking for. I know where he is. And Indrajumna Maharaj said, oh, my heart is now filled with anxiety. I would like to find that person whom I can love without any exception. And can you show me where he is? And Vidyapati says, yes, sir, yes, my dear king, you can come with me. So King Indrajumna immediately said, we'll leave immediately. You will lead me where this personality who I'm looking for my whole life and who will fulfill all my desires for love. Please take me with you. So Vidyapati said, yes, we will leave immediately. So they walked a long, long distance from the kingdom of Indrajumna, and they arrived in a beautiful place with a forest. It was called Nilachal. And in that forest, in Nilachal, he told, here lives a man who worships the Lord of your heart with all love and devotion. And unfortunately, he is a very simple person. And the king said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So then he said, but I cannot take you with me because this person is so attached to that worshipable deity he has. So Indrajumna said, okay, so I will stay here and you can accompany that person. And who is that person? He's the chief of a tribe who maintains pigs. And he is guarding this lord somewhere in the forest. But you cannot go with me. I will have to go with him alone. So they approached Vishvavasu, the king of the guardians of the pigs, and they asked, can you show us your lord? He said, yes, I will show you. But you only can come with me. Vishvavasu said, only Vidyapati. The king Indrajumna, he must stay here. So Vishvavasu took Vidyapati and he first blindfolded him. He took a piece of cloth and put it around his eyes so that he doesn't find the place where the Lord of his heart is being worshipped. But Vidyapati was very intelligent. He took seeds of mustard, and on the pathway through the forest, he dropped a few seeds one after another so that after a while he could find his way, even though he didn't know where it is, through this marking through the plants of the mustard. So they walked and walked through the forest. Vidyapati didn't know where he is, and Vishvavasu didn't want him to know where he is. Vishvavasu was very attached to that Lord, and Indrajumna thought that I will also have the darshan of this Lord, but for the moment I am not allowed. Anyhow, Vidyapati and Vishvavasu, they walked through the forest and they came to a beautiful lake, and there was a beautiful forest there and a wonderful cave. And in that cave, Vishvavasu, he took away the blindfold and he said, Vidyapati, here is my Lord. I love him so much. Every day I offer him sandalwood paste. Every day I offer him flowers. And he is the supreme adorable personality of the universe. And Vidyapati was amazed by the fact. And he looked at this beautiful deity and he said, wait until my master, the king Indrajumna, will see this Lord. He will be absolutely thrilled. And Vishvavasu said, what? Indrajumna? Who is that Indrajumna? He said, well, he's the king. And suddenly, at that moment, the voice of that deity was heard. Vishvavasu, I want to be worshipped with kingly paraphernalia. You cannot worship me here in the forest as a simple forest deity. I want to be worshipped by the king. At that moment, Vishvavasu said, "What? My Lord, you want to leave me? Impossible. You cannot leave me. You cannot leave me. It's impossible. And how is it possible that you found out about this king Indradumna and that now that you want to be worshipped in a kingly matter?" And Vishvavasu got very angry. He said, "You, Vidyapati, you has arranged this whole thing to steal my Lord." Huh? And Vidyapati said, No, I didn't do anything. I just mentioned the name of Indradumna. And he said, "You, a Brahmin and a servant of Indradumna, you want to steal my Lord from me, from this beautiful forest where I'm the only one who can adore my Lord. Offer him flowers, offer him fresh fruit, sandalwood pulp. Huh? No, I won't accept it. My Lord, you cannot leave me. You cannot leave me. And you, Vidyapati, you are now my prisoner." And he bound him with ropes and made him his prisoner. In the meanwhile, Indradumna was waiting far away. He didn't go with Vidyapati and Vishvavasu. And he was wondering, where is Vidyapati? And then he was looking for him. He didn't find him. So he followed the pathway where the year went by. Vidyapati just disappeared. And Vishvavasu came back. He said, "No, I don't know where he is." So Indradumna went back to his kingdom, and he decided, "I will look for Vidyapati, and until I find him, and until I find my Lord, I will not give up." So he collected an army, and he left his kingdom and went again back to the kingdom of Vishvavasu. And he said, "Where is Vidyapati?" And Vidyapati said, "Oh, I don't know." So finally he found Vidyapati bound with ropes in his prison, and he freed him. And he asked him, "So, can you show me?" He said, "No, I was blindfolded, but I left these mustard seeds, so we can follow the path of the mustard seeds." So, because Vishvavasu was more or less in a prison situation, he was also captured by Indradumna. He accompanied Indradumna and Vidyapati on the path to that place where Jagannath used to be. Not Jagannath, in those days he was called Nila Madhava. Nila Madhava. So they came to this beautiful forest and to the cave where the worship of a deity of Vishvavasu used to be, and he wasn't there anymore. So Vishvavasu was completely devastated. He said, "What happened?" And Indradumna said, "You took him away, you hid him away from me. I am now going to punish you." And Vishvavasu was very much afraid that the king will punish him now. But there was no more Nila Madhava. Nila Madhava just disappeared. So Indradumna decided that they will make Nila Madhava appear again, and he ordered his carver to carve the deity of Nila Madhava again. And Vishvavasu and his tribe of pig holders, they are called, still now they are in Jagannath Puri. I think their name is, what is the name of those who take care of Jagannath? Anyone knows? Huh? No, not Pandu. No. No, they're the Pandas in Pandas, not Pandu. Pandas, and they are the descendants of the tribe of Vishvavasu. Yeah. So Indradumna became again friend with Vishvavasu and ordered him to build a beautiful temple near the sea, near the place which is called Niladri, which is on the Still today, the temple of Niladri is on the beach in what we call now Jagannath Puri, on the beach of the Bay of Bengal, about 250 kilometers south from Calcutta. It's called Niladri. So they built a beautiful temple there, out of stone, and Indradumna ordered that a deity be carved from a piece of wood. So the carver, he found a beautiful piece of wood, and also another piece of wood was found in the ocean, and the carver said, "Yes, I will carve the deity of Nila Madhava again," because he disappeared. The idea of Nila Madhava came from Vishwavasu. He was worshipping this deity, so he knew exactly the form of the deity, with hands and legs. It was a beautiful, beautiful deity of Krishna, and with big eyes. But the carver said, "Yes, I will carve the deities of Nila Madhava and also Baladev and his sister Subhadra, but under one condition, that you will not enter the room where I'm carving the deities unless I tell you you can enter, until I'm finished with the carving of the deities." So Indradumna agreed, yeah, and the deities were being carved from this beautiful wood which was found floating in the ocean, and the carver was taking his time, and Indradumna became impatient, and the carver wasn't still finished with these beautiful deities, and Indradumna became even more impatient. So at a certain moment he burst into the workshop where these deities were made, and at that point the carver said, "Okay, you broke your vow that you will not enter until the deities are finished. I'm finished. I won't carve these deities anymore." Huh? So Indradumna looked at the deities and he saw that they weren't finished. They were missing the arms and they were missing the legs also. Huh? So anyhow, he said, "Never mind, we will worship the deities as they are." Yeah? And from that point on, that was many thousands of years ago, yeah, the deities were installed in Niladri, which is right next to Jagannath Puri, the original place, in a temple there, and they were worshipped by Indradumna and by his descendants from many, many generations. Yeah? And these forms of Krishna are very special because they have been worshipped since many thousands of years in this special form, without arms, without legs, but with these beautiful transcendental eyes, which are so beautiful. Yeah? So the deity of Jagannath has been then moved to a new temple approximately 2,000 years ago. A new temple was built in Jagannath Puri. Yeah? From Niladri, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra were moved to Jagannath Puri. So this is the story which was dramatized. I made a very short story of this. It's called Jagannath Priyanatakam. Jagannath Priyanatakam, which means the loving object of the personality of Godhead, the loving form. Priya. Priya means very loving, very beautiful. Yeah. So another story goes that this form is actually also a form of Krishna. And that is that Krishna was once in Dwarka, and he was in his room, and he was listening somebody talking about his pastimes when he was in Vrindavan with the gopis. And Lord Krishna had such a great love for the gopis in Vrindavan that he felt separation from them, and in this ecstasy of separation, his arms and legs mounted into his body, and this way he has this transcendental form. That's another story which is mentioned. And one of the nicest form of worship of Lord Jagannath is called Jagannath Ratha Yatra. So I think that here in Zurich you have each year a nice Jagannath Ratha Yatra at the lakeside in Zurich. Yesterday we had photographs of the first Ratha Yatra in Zurich, which was on the Bahnhofstrasse. Yeah. The huge cart with Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra was pulled on the Bahnhofstrasse. And the photographs you got from the archive of the ETH Zurich. And on this photograph you can see the big cart of Jagannath with Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, the small ones still. These are the chota we see down there. The big ones were carved later. We've discussed that also yesterday. And behind the cart you see the tram waiting, which is quite amazing that the trams had to wait for Jagannath to pass. Yeah. This is something unique. I think that was the first and the last time that the trams waited behind Jagannath's cart. Yeah. So anyhow, the story of this Jagannath Ratha Yatra is also very beautiful. It is described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As you all know, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he made his transcendental appearance in Mathura, yeah, and he was then transferred from Mathura to Vrindavan. His foster father and mother, or those which we were singing now before, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari, Yashoda Nandana. He was the son of Yashoda, his foster mother, and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. But his original father and mother were Vasudeva and Devaki. So Krishna was transferred from the prison of Kamsa, as you all maybe know, to the village of Vrindavan. Yeah? And there he stayed with his foster mother and father, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And there he exhibited his transcendental pastimes in Vrindavan, Vrindavan Leela, where he was playing with his boyfriends and with his girlfriends, tending the cows, Gopi Jana Vallabha, and lifting the Govardhan hill, Girivaradhari. Krishna is called Girivaradhari because he lifted a hill when he was a small boy. Yeah. So this was this Vrindavan Leela. Then at a certain point he went to Mathura to fight with the big fighters, Chanura and Mushtika, and he defeated them and killed King Kamsa, who was the great king, very envious and demoniac, who imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki. This whole story is described also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. The whole 10th canto describes the Leela of Krishna. And then Krishna, he stayed in Mathura, and later on he built a big city in Dwarka, which is now on the western coast of India, in today's Gujarat. And there he built a city in the sea, in the ocean. It's still now there. They made some archaeological excavations and they found the remnants of this beautiful town of Dwarka. So Krishna moved there. He married, as we know, 10,800 queens, yeah, which is not easy to understand, and he lived as a king, and at the same time the gopis and the gopas, the cowherd boys and mainly the cowherd girls in Vrindavan, they were left more or less alone in Vrindavan without Krishna. Of course, it's stated in the Shastras that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He stayed in Vrindavan, he remained always in Vrindavan in the heart of the gopis. He never left Vrindavan. But to accomplish his pastimes, he moved to Dwarka. And in Dwarka, he exhibited his opulences as a king. He married so many queens, Rukmini and Satyabhama and many, many others, and 16,000 princesses which were kept by Bhaumasura, So altogether Krishna married 16,108 princesses and became king of 16,108 queens. Not bad, huh? And but not only that, Krishna exhibited his transcendental pastimes in Dwarka in such a way that Narada Muni was amazed when he visited Dwarka, because not only that Krishna married 16,108 queens, but for each queen he built a palace. Not that they all lived in a sarai or harem like in the Muslim countries. The sultans, they had their harem, or their sarai. And this harem was one big building, and the queens or the concubines of the sultan, they lived in one house. No. Krishna built a palace for each of his 16,108 wives in Dwarka. And the most amazing thing was that when Narada came, Krishna was with each queen in a different palace simultaneously. He expanded himself in 16,108 forms. And in these 16,108 forms, he performed various pastimes. In one palace, he was playing with his children. In another palace, he was speaking with his wife. And another palace, he was playing chess with some of his friends. Yeah? Always completely, totally, transcendently pastime. Narada was shocked when he saw this. Yogis, big advanced yogins, they can expand their form eightfold. They can expand themselves in 8 forms. But all these 8 forms, they perform the same thing. They're just like, sozis of this one yogi. If one yogi lifts his right hand, the other one also lifts his right hand. Yeah? But Krishna expanded himself in so many transcendental forms. And he was living like this, like the king of Dwarka, Dwarakanath, Dwarakadish, Dwarakanath. So anyhow, one day was very special. There should have been a huge solar eclipse. And the Brahmanas went throughout the kingdom in those days there were many kingdoms, including the king of Dwarka, Krishna. They went to each kingdom and they announced there will be a great occasion for assembly of all the kings in this huge Bharata. In those days India was called Bharat, and that was 5,000 years ago, this story. And you're all invited to come and perform a great sacrifice at a very holy place which is called Kurukshetra, which is still existing today in India. So these messengers, the Brahmins, came to Dwarka and they told Krishna also that he should attend with all the Yadus, which was Krishna's family, were called the Yadavas or the Yadus, including Vasudeva and Devaki. Right? So Krishna was a very, very exemplary Kshatriya. He respected the Brahmins. We say Krishna is Go Brahmana Hitayacha. He's the protector of the cows and of the Brahmins. So he respected the Brahmins. We know so many stories in the Krishna book, and in the 10th canto describes how Krishna respected the Brahmins. It was amazing. So he said, yes, we will immediately start for Kurukshetra from Dwarka. Kurukshetra is still today existing, as well as Dwarka, as I mentioned. So Kurukshetra is approximately 100 kilometers north from New Delhi. Today is New Delhi. And Dwarka is in Gujarat. It's next to the Arabian Sea. So they went, Krishna with beautiful chariots and horse-driven chariots, his father, mother, Vasudeva, Devaki, and Krishna, together with his brother Baladev and with his sister Subhadra, they went on these beautiful chariots pulled by horses all the way to Kurukshetra. When they arrived in Kurukshetra, there were so many already kings there, including the Pandavas. The Pandavas, they also arrived, because all the kings should attend this wonderful event of the solar eclipse. So when they arrived, they had their beautiful campments in Kurukshetra, and they arranged for a huge festival with a lot of offerings to the demigods and also yagyas, and they needed food. They needed produce like grains, ghee, fruit, vegetables, etc. So Krishna sent envoys from the camp in Kurukshetra to all the villages and towns around Kurukshetra. So these messengers, they arrived in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is also not so far away. And they say Krishna, Balaram, and his sister and their sister Subhadra and many other kings, including the Pandavas, they were now in Kurukshetra, and they asked all the villages in this perimeter of Kurukshetra to bring their produce, ghee, fruit, milk, butter, vegetables, everything for making a huge yagya. So the Vrindavan Vasis, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the gopis and the gopas and Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they packed huge wagons filled with all these things, including gur. Gur is sugar. It's made from sugar cane. It's brown. It looks like a little mountain. So they brought this gur and ghee and fruit and butter and milk. And they packed it everything nicely on their wagons, and they drove to Kurukshetra. And when they arrived in Kurukshetra, the gopis were eager to see Krishna after such a long time. Yeah? It's described in the 10th canto and of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when they arrived, they saw Krishna sitting on this chariot like a king, and Baladev was sitting there, and Krishna, when he saw the gopis, he waved to them. He said, "Hello, here I am again." And the gopis were completely thrilled, but they felt this is not the right place. We would like to have Krishna again in Vrindavan. This is, such a nice place maybe, but they told, Srimati Radharani told Krishna, but Krishna, why don't you come back to Vrindavan, just for a few days, so that we can visit the groves of Vrindavan together? And Krishna said, "Oh, it's not easy for me. I have to stay here. We have this yagya, and I am obliged to stay here until the solar eclipse." Yeah. So when then there was the solar eclipse, and everybody, all the kings went into the lakes in Kurukshetra. There are many lakes, and they chanted mantras and bathed. All the kings bathed, and Brahmins bathed in the waters of the lakes in Kurukshetra. And at that point, Radharani was desperate, and she told Krishna, "Why don't you come back to Vrindavan? I mean, you can. Isn't it possible for you?" And Krishna said, "Unfortunately, I am now a king. I cannot go to village in Vrindavan. I have no right. I have all my parents here, Vasudev, Devaki, and all my relatives, 16,108 queens." So Radharani said, "If you don't come, we will pull you all the way from here to Vrindavan." And they took the ropes, which were on the chariots to hold the horses, right? The horses were grazing somewhere, of course, yeah? All the gopis, they took the ropes and they started pulling the chariot of Jagannath. We do the same thing, pulling the chariot with Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra. They were trying to pull them all the way to Vrindavan. Yeah. So that's the story behind the Ratha Yatra festival. That we are trying to pull Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra. We are trying to pull them back to Vrindavan. This festival has a tradition mainly in Jagannath Puri. That's where the first Jagannath Ratha Yatra started. And this festival is also symbolically pulling Lord Jagannath on one cart, Shri Baladev Ji on another cart, and Subhadra Devi on another cart. There are 3 carts. We only have 1 cart here. But in different places, specifically in Jagannath Puri, but also in New York, in San Francisco, in London, this festival of Ratha Yatra takes place with 3 chariots. And in Jagannath Puri, they pull the chariots from the temple of Jagannath to the temple of Gundicha, which is approximately 2 kilometers from the temple of Jagannath in Jagannath Puri. And till today, each year, approximately 1 million people attend this festival of Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri. 1 million people. And the king personally, the king of Jagannath Puri, he's personally in charge of sweeping the road in front of Jagannath. He takes a broom. We do the same thing here, isn't it? You also have a broom you sweep in front of Jagannath. So this is a huge festival in Jagannath Puri, and Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of our Krishna consciousness movement, has inaugurated the same festival in so many cities around the world. You know, you just name it. You can name a city and we will tell you where is the Jagannath temple. Also in Durban, in South Africa, the Jagannath festival takes place. And in my town where I live in Prague, we have also a very nice Jagannath festival in Budapest, everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, I think the only place where they didn't have a Jagannath festival was in Moscow, if I remember. Maybe they even had there once. I'm not sure. So anyhow, this festival of Ratha Yatra, where we pull the deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, is based on this event which took place at Kurukshetra, where the gopis were feeling separation from Krishna so much that they wanted to pull physically the whole chariot with Krishna and Baladev and Subhadra to Vrindavan. Yeah? So this is a remembrance. The Ratha Yatra festival is a remembrance of this event which is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyhow, Jagannath reciprocates with his devotees, and we know that people all around the world love the deity of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra because they're so sweet. Yesterday we had this wonderful festival of the 40th anniversary of the installation of Sri Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra here in this temple in Zurich, and we have had many devotees attending, either physically they were here or you have made some nice interviews with devotees who were here at the installation, and their testimony was very, very touching, how much they were attached and still are attached to these deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. Particularly, I was yesterday very much impressed by one testimony of one devotee, Mandali Bhadra, who was one of the pujaris, the first pujaris here, and he shared with us his experience that in general he always was a little bit concerned about the deities in the Christian tradition, which are rather gloomy, or for example, if you know in the Catholic Church there are always these terrible pictures of Lord Christ being crucified on a cross. They're not very happy pictures. But when he saw Jagannath with his beautiful big eyes smiling from ear to ear, yeah, he thought, well, this is God. Always happy. Yeah? So this is something which touches people's hearts. When they see Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, they're always smiling. You never see Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra sad. They're always happy, smiling. And they have such wonderful, beautiful eyes which are enchanting the whole universe. And we have seen at the various festivals of Ratha Yatra in the world that thousands of people, without even knowing who is Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, they become inspired and also follow the chariot and pull the ropes with Jagannath, even without, just by chance they're attending the Ratha Yatra festival and they start pulling the cart. And I've seen also in Prague when we had this Ratha Yatra each year, that complete foreigners who never, attended any such festival, they become drawn in with this transcendental emotions, and they start pulling the cart and sweeping, yeah. And during the festival, we have devotees sitting on the cart, at least we have that in Prague, and throwing bananas and apples to the people. You do this also here? Yeah. It's such a wonderful festival. Yeah. So for us, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra are mainly related to this festival of Ratha Yatra. Yeah. Because then we take Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra for a ride on their beautiful chariot. And the chariots themselves in Jagannath Puri, they're enormous. I don't know if you know English, there's an English word which is a part of the English vocabulary now, and it's the word juggernaut. Juggernaut is an English word, you can find it in the dictionary, and it means, juggernaut means something huge, enormous, and impossible to see. Juggernaut, yeah. It's juggernaut. They use it normally in English, a juggernaut, because when they came to Puri and they saw these huge chariots, they were amazed, the British, and it sort of like sifted into the English vocabulary, juggernaut. Yeah. So these chariots of Jagannath are enormous in Jagannath Puri, and the whole festival, as I said before, is enormous. There are 1 million people attending. It's one of the biggest festival in the world, religious festival in the world. And amazingly enough, there's practically no accidents. There's no people being killed, trampled, The masses of people now, for example, at these big sport events, so many people get killed, trampled if there's some chaos. But those 1 million people in Jagannath Puri, nothing happens. Yeah. So it's a very beautiful festival. And the first Jagannath Ratha Yatra festival was inaugurated in San Francisco in the days of the hippies. And that was a real special Jagannath Ratha Yatra, because they didn't have a chariot, they just borrowed a truck, and they put Jagannath on one side, Baladev on the other side, and Subhadra in the back of the truck, and they made a little sort of like a tent above them, and all the hippies in those days, San Francisco was the capital of the hippies, they were all marching behind this truck. There was no pulling of the cart, it was a truck. And there's one picture which I'll never forget. Syama Sundar Prabhu, he was the one who built it with Jayananda. Jayananda built this infrastructure on the truck, and they had loudspeakers, and to put electricity into the loudspeakers, they had one of these benzene drawn, this accumulator, this what is it called? Generator, yeah. And it was in those days, 60s, these generators were extremely loud, and stinky, So if they put them outside, nobody would hear the music through the microphones because the noise of the generator. So they put the generator in the front of the truck, and Shyama Sundar said that they almost choke from the exhausts. Plus that the most funniest photograph I've ever seen was that Shyama Sundar is sitting behind the wheel, and next to him sits a dog. It was the dog of Guru Das, Ketal was his name. So it was really like a beautiful festival, completely hippie style, That was the first Jagannath Ratha Yatra in the Western world. The second was a little better. They already had built something better. Then they had the first Ratha Yatra in London, which was a catastrophe. They built the Ratha Yatra in such a way that in the first curve the wheel just broke off. Yeah. We had our first Ratha Yatra, we spoke about it yesterday, in Geneva in Switzerland in 1978, if I remember well. That was a very nice Ratha Yatra I had the chance to attend. And then the first Ratha Yatra in Zurich took place, the first and the last Ratha Yatra in the Bahnhofstrasse. Yeah. And we hope that maybe once we'll have another chance to pull Jagannath through the Bahnhofstrasse with the trams waiting behind, you know. That would be really nice. Yeah. So that's, I think, about all that I can speak about Jagannath. I'm not so qualified. But anyhow, we are very happy that the deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra are being worshipped in such a nice way here in Zurich at the temple, with so much opulence, so much care and attention, and so much cleanliness. This is something I wanted to mention, that the Vedic culture is cleanliness. Prabhupada said, cleanliness is next to godliness. So you can see here, I was always observing the pujaris and the matajis here, how clean they are, you know. Every half an hour there's one mataji going with a mop, mopping the floor there, everywhere. Not only there, but here, the whole temple, I've noticed. The main activities of the people who live in the temple here, except for those who worship the deities, is to clean the temple. You know, I see them in the morning mopping, cleaning, washing, everything, and it's so clean, this temple. I don't know if you noticed. You go downstairs into the kitchen; it's absolutely sparkling clean. You know, the place where you wash the dishes, the parking clean. You know, the steps you see every day. There's somebody walking down the steps, washing the steps. Yeah. So this is something I would like to just mention, that this cleanliness in this temple here in Zurich is very, very high standard. Yeah. And also, naturally, the standard of the worship is absolutely amazing. Yeah. And as Astarata Prabhu mentioned yesterday, also the cooks here are very, very good. And the food which is offered to Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra and Shishi Gornitai is out of this world. Yeah. Yeah. So just to commend and the appreciation for this center, this Krishna temple is extremely well managed and extremely clean and very, very beautiful. And I'm so happy that so many people come here on the Sunday feast, you know. It's so nice. And also all our friends from Tamil Nadu, who they also come here. Before at 1 o'clock they were here. And they love the place here. There's one grandmother here from Tamil Nadu. She's 84 years old. She sits here always at that place. Yeah, she comes. She's amazing. She's an old, really grandmother. You know, she barely can walk, and she has a bag. And from her bag, she took out a plate, took out matches, and took out candles. And then she lights the candles. 3 candles. Puts them on the plate, carries them on that little table which is right next to the box where you put your donations, and puts it there and worship first Prabhupada and then Jagannath. She's a great devotee of Jagannath, 84 years old. Mm-hmm. And not only her, but so many other people come here from India, from Tamil Nadu, from ex-Sri Lanka, you know, the Tamil people. So this is very, very encouraging that this temple has, mainly on Sunday, I don't know, during the week is maybe not so many people because everyone has to work, you know. But the Sunday is a vibrant festival here. Each Sunday, I think, every time I'm here on Sunday, it's very vibrant, very nice. And so many devotees come here to worship Jagannath and sing beautiful bhajans for Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna and Balaram. Mm-hmm. Okay? Thank you very, very much to having me, and yeah, maybe you want to ask somebody questions or.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. When Krishna comes to this earth as an avatar, he comes every time with an expansion of him, so Krishna Balaram and Chaitanya Nityananda, and now if you please could explain me for my understanding why there is Jagannath, Baladeva and Subhadra, the third one, please. Thank you very much.
Well, you have also Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are not also alone. We have them as murtis, but there's a picture there on the left next to the column of 5 incarnations of Krishna. There's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srinivas Acharya. Shivas Thakur, sorry. So these are Panchatattva, yeah? And he appears also, we have deities in India, you find deities of God Gadadhar. In Navadvip you find the mother of Krishna, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sachi Mata, yeah? Sachi Devi. So Krishna actually appears not only with 1 or 2, but sometimes with thousands of expansions, you know. But we worship according to our tradition, Gaudiya tradition, yeah. Just like one can say, when you ask about when Krishna comes, if the President of the United States comes to Zurich, I hope he doesn't. So, but he comes with his bodyguards, with his ministers, with his wife, with his diplomats, with his economic advisors, political advisors. It's a whole, like a big show, you know. So when some important person comes, he's not alone. He always comes with an entourage. What to speak of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He comes with all his entourage and all his relatives and all his friends. Never think that Krishna comes in this material world with ordinary entourage. All the devotees, all the personalities who appear with Krishna here, they're all special. They are all expansions of his expansions, you know. So when an important person appears, he always has his entourage, you know. So the same way the Supreme Lord, what to speak of Supreme Lord, anyway, he appears with so many. Even when Krishna appeared on this planet, the demigods appeared with him, you know, to accompany him. Plus that all the gopis, they were not ordinary girls from the villages. They were also his eternal consorts. The queens, the same. Yeah. So Krishna is important, the most important. Okay, is that all right? Any other? Thank you very much then.
We have to thank you, Jayagurudeva Prabhu. Actually today one devotee came to me and said, yesterday so many senior devotees were here, and he was mentioning how we feel so sheltered when the senior devotees are here. And I want to thank you for coming and you giving us this encouragement in Krishna consciousness. So please come more and more and more.
Yes, according to Krishna's desire, if I can come, I will be very happy. I have my duties also in the place where I have devotees in the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic is a very special place because we've started the movement only after the fall of communism. Before it was illegal, like in Ukraine, in Russia, and these places. We were persecuted by the police there. But then in 1990 we started to preach there normally after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And nowadays we have a community. We have a community of about 300 devotees in the Czech Republic. It's a country which is as big as Switzerland, 10 million people. And the city of Prague, we have 4 Govinda restaurants. And in the vicinity of Prague, 60 kilometers from Prague, we have a big farm. And there's about 70 devotees living there. And in town, which has 16,000 inhabitants, we have 2 Govinda restaurants. 16,000 inhabitants, you know, and a bakery. And every day people stand in line to buy our bread. And they like our bread very much. It's very nice. And we have Ratha Yatra, of course, and we have a feature which is still not manifest in Switzerland. Maybe it will manifest one day. It's called Padayatra. Padayatra, we have 2 bulls and a chariot, and we go from village to village We go, like if you would go here from Dubendorf to Bern, on the little roads, and we stop in each little village, and in each village we make some kirtan and a program for children. They love it. In the villages, Padayatra is very popular because people living in villages, they never see such a thing, you know. So this Padayatra is very nice in the Czech Republic, and we have a good time there. Fortunately, by Krishna's grace, we have a second and third generation of children who are active in our movement. They are agriculturists. We have two boys who are take care of the cows. One is 16 and the other is 17 years old. They studied agriculture at the college. They have diploma and they know how to take care of cows and everything. So we hope that when we all die, that we will die, that there will be a new generation taking over. That's so important, you know. Because we have to take care of the children, that they become inspired to continue the Krishna consciousness, to continue to worship the deities in such a beautiful way, you know. So we're trying our best in the Czech Republic, and I'm sort of like obliged to stay there also, you know. So yeah. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward. Thank you very much for having me. And and for your beautiful kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jayagurudeva. So now we are all invited to take the prasadam vegetarian feast outside, and at 6:15 there will be a guided mantra meditation in this temple room. You can learn how to chant on prayer beads. And 7 o'clock we have our arati, and there will be more kirtan till 9:30. And just a small note, Jayagurudeva also mentioned how this temple is so clean, and believe it or not, but nobody gets paid for that. It's all voluntary. So this is an open invitation to all of you. I think many of you also come regularly. Please, if you can, support, and I'm sure you will get a lot of blessings and mercy from Jagannath. If we actually start to engage practically in service, He says, Yeyatamam prabhadente tangstateva bhajamyaham. As we turn towards Him, as much as we serve Him, that much He will actually reveal Himself. So,
and also one thing is that Jagannath and Gauranitai, they never forget. So that means if you once sweep the temple room here, He will forget. But Jagannath will never forget. He will always remember, oh, this girl or this man here, he cleaned the temple room 20 years ago. Even if you screw one screw in the wall here, which is falling out, Lord Jagannath has his big eyes, and he can see it, and he will remember it. He will never forget you. That's the nice thing about Krishna, that he never forgets whatever service, a loving devotion you have for him. He never forgets, you know. We will all forget, you know. We forget that so many devotees did so many services, but Jagannath never forgets. So whatever you can do for Jagannath, do it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His grace, Jayagurudeva Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry, dear devotees, this is an important information. In 2 weeks we celebrate Gaur Purnima festival. That's the appearance day of